Yo, what is going on, guys? And welcome back to 365 Analytics. And today we are here, as always, Thursday afternoon, as we do every single week during the NFL season. We are here with our weekly game picks, and it is week four. It is week four. We are here today to present our weekly game picks and our weekly power rankings. As always, everybody knows the drill by now. We did the same thing last season, so we are underway. And before we get into this, if you guys do enjoy, please like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications for more videos exactly like this one. And without further ado, let's get right into the storm that is picking NFL games. So, we have a big thing to talk about, and it happens to be right here. 2 straight weeks with a 7-9 record, absolutely atrocious. 7-9 is a horrible, horrible record, absolutely atrocious. 2 straight weeks without double-digit wins. I mean, 2 games under 500 for the week for 2 straight weeks now, and that brings our yearly record of 26-22. The worst start I've had in game picks through my however many years, probably 6, 7 years, picking games at this point. So it's been bad. It's been bad to say the least. 2 straight atrocious weeks in a row now, but we got to rebound. We got to rebound. That's the bottom line. We got to do better. We gotta make some better picks. It's just been some dumb picks, some careless picks in the last few weeks now, and we gotta have a big rebound week because we are only 4 games ahead of 500, and I'm last place in my pick'em league. Like it has not gone well at all. But we are 3-0 on the lock of the week. Surprisingly, something's going well at least, and we are 1-2 on the upset of the week, being 2 straight upsets. We lost 2 straight upsets. Started 1-0 in both categories. 1-2 in upsets. 3-0 on locks now. So we have a 16 game slate as always. Bye week start next week, but we are here. Week four. Let's go. Thursday night football. It's an NFC West battle to kick off a big football weekend across the NFL and college football. We are going to start off with the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Arizona Cardinals. The Seahawks, they're coming off a big win versus the New Orleans Saints last week. Torrey Horton, multiple touchdowns. I mean, he was balling out. JSN balling out as always. Kenneth Walker had a great game. And Seattle looked like the better team there. Sam Darnold played well, and they went to 2-1. Seattle won 2 straight, and they got the win handily against the worst team in the National Football League, in my opinion. Then you look at the Cardinals side of things. They lost a very grinded out, gritty game versus the San Francisco 49ers last week to get their first loss of the season. I mean, it was not great. Kyler Murray didn't play well. Marvin Harrison Jr. was non-existent. He dropped a big pass at one point in the game. James Conner went out for the year with a pretty gruesome injury shown on Red Zone. Um, Arizona got the ball back. They got a safety. They went up, I believe it was 15-13. They got the ball back, and on third down, was it Elijah Higgins who someone dropped a pass, and that would have basically sealed the game for the Arizona Cardinals. But Mac Jones got the ball back, drove all the way down the field, and the San Francisco 49ers with Eddie Pinheiro ended up putting them away to go to 3-0. But the Cardinals, they're showing up on Thursday night in their new Nike rivalry uniforms, the Desert Storm uniforms, and I'm going to pick them at home in this game. I know it's a risky pick. I know Seattle has definitely looked like the better team through 3 weeks. Arizona has not really played the most quality opponents, to be quite honest, but they're wearing the rivalry uniforms. They're in Arizona. It's a short week in Glendale, and I trust Kyler Murray and Jonathan Gannon more in a game like this. I think their playmakers need to show up. I think Trey McBride needs to keep doing what he's doing. I think they need more out of Marvin Harrison Jr. He was drafted that high for a reason, and I think they're gonna get this one done. I think they're gonna go 3-1 and drop Seattle to 2-2 in a big NFC West win on Thursday night. So yeah, give me the Cardinals to win the game. And then we go to Sunday and we have an international game. We are going to have hours on hours of football. I am pumped. Starting off, it is the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers in Ireland. I believe this one's in Ireland. Yeah, it's in Ireland, I think. But the first ever NFL game in Ireland, it is the Vikings versus the Steelers. The Vikings, they're coming off an absolute shellacking win versus the Cincinnati Bengals 48-10. They won. Carson Wentz did enough. He wasn't exceptional, but he did enough. Jordan Mason played well. The defense played well. Isaiah Rodgers, 2 defensive touchdowns. He wins the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. I mean, the Vikings were just winning that game on all cylinders. Kevin O'Connell gets the win with his boys, and the Vikings go to 2-1. The Steelers, similar thing for them. They are also 2-1, coming off a win versus the New England Patriots in a game where the Patriots had 5 turnovers. Drake May had a fumble, Ramondre Stevenson had 2 fumbles, and Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers ended up getting the win in the end. Despite not playing perfect all game, they've looked very vulnerable. A battle of two very good head coaches, in my opinion, with Kevin O'Connell and Mike Tomlin. In my opinion, I think Jordan Mason will have a big effect on this game. They are getting Jordan Addison back for the Vikings as well, so the Vikings will have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison back in the fold. That is big, big when going up against defense. Jordan Addison's a very good threat as a wide receiver too, and Adam Thielen still being there. I like the Vikings in this game to get it done. I think their offensive playmakers are going to show up. And even with J.J. McCarthy being out, I think Carson Wentz will do enough overseas neutral site game to take down the Pittsburgh Steelers and go to 3-1 on the season and solidify the Vikings as they're not going anywhere. They lost to the Falcons a couple Sunday nights ago, and everybody kind of jumped off ship because of how the offense played. But when JJ McCarthy gets back healthy, the Vikings back healthy with Addison and Jefferson now, Jordan Mason, Aaron Jones will be back at some point. They're going to be a very good team. They're going to be a playoff team, and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. So in this game, give me the Minnesota Vikings to go to 3-1 and beat the Steelers overseas. And then we start the 1 o'clock slate on Sunday. It is an NFC battle between the Washington Commanders and the Atlanta Falcons. The Commanders, Marcus Mariota and the boys got the win over the Las Vegas Raiders last week handily. They did it well. The only thing the Raiders really did well was Trey Tucker. Trey Tucker had a very good game for the Raiders, but in the end, Marcus Mariota was good. I mean, they ran the ball well. I think Jeremy McNichols had like a 60-yard touchdown or something like that. Chris Rodriguez got some carries. As a Bill Krosky Merit fantasy owner, it just breaks my heart to see him not getting the full bell cow role in the backfield of Austin Eckler's injury. But Washington came away with the win, rebounding off the Green Bay loss a couple Thursday nights ago and going to 2-1. As for the Falcons, they put up a goose egg on the board. They put up a goose egg on the board last week against the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young played well, and they just could not stop anything defensively. The pressure we saw in the first few weeks from them, from Jalen Walker, James Pierce, I mean, the pressure that was there in the first few weeks generated for the Falcons defense was not there at all. Bryce Young tore him apart. He had time in the pocket. I mean, Ted McMillan making plays, Chuba Hubbard making plays. The Carolina offense just tore him apart. And this game being in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, this is a tough game to pick. Really tough game to pick. These two played a great, great game on Sunday Night Football towards the end of the year. Last year was a big game for playoff contention, and Jaden Daniels, I think it was in overtime, hit the game-winning drive, touchdown pass to Zach Ertz to win the game. Jaden Daniels, his status for this game is in question right now. We'll see if he's able to suit up. If he is able to suit up, maybe I'll change my pick, but I like the Falcons. I like the Falcons rebounding in a game like this. I like their matchup versus the offensive line. I do. I like the Falcons pass rush in this game. They need to have a big win. They need to have a big win. That's the bottom line. They know what they showed versus Carolina last week was not to their standard. They're 1-2. They really do not want to go to 1-3. And if Marcus Mariota is under center for the Washington Commanders in Atlanta, I think it will be a really big boost for Atlanta to come out with this game with a win. And I think they're going to win this game, go to 2-2. Washington's going to drop to 2-2, and they both will have the same record in the NFC playoffs as of right now. And maybe if Jaden Daniels plays, my mind will change on this for next week. But I'm taking the Falcons, and I think they go to 2-2 and beat the Commanders. Next up, we have an interconference matchup. We have maybe the worst team in the league versus maybe the best team in the league right now. It is the New Orleans Saints taking on the Buffalo Bills. The Saints, they're coming off a blowout loss to the Seattle Seahawks last week. Seahawks offense just tore them up. They were all over the field. And the Saints look kind of what I thought they were be. Spencer Rattler showing nothing special. Tyler Shuck made a few throws last week, but he really didn't do anything. Um, Alvin Kamara is really just aging, and he's aging. He's aging in New Orleans at this point, and Kellen Moore has not had a good first few games as head coach. And yeah, the Saints look really bad, and they're a contender for the number one overall pick. So yeah, the Buffalo Bills, they're coming off a mini bye week, coming to Orchard Park, coming off the win versus the Miami Dolphins last Thursday, and they showed out. They played well. Josh Allen played well. The Buffalo Bills as a whole played well. Got the game-winning interception off to Tagovailoa, and got the win to go to 3-0. And I don't expect any different here. It's we'll talk about the power rankings in a second, but I'll spoil it early. It's the number 32 team in my power rankings versus the number 2 team in my power rankings. So I expect Buffalo to roll through this game. Buffalo sees all the vulnerableness going on in the AFC right now. Kansas City's 1-2, Baltimore's 1-2. Those two will actually talk about them in a few minutes here with them facing off this week on CBS. But the AFC is very, very vulnerable. And if it's not this year for the Buffalo Bills, will it ever be the Bills' year? So Buffalo's gonna start 4-0 here. They're gonna take a big step to get in that number one seed in the AFC, and they play in a very weak division, so Buffalo should roll. So give me the Bills in this game. They start 4-0 and they take down the New Orleans Saints. Next up, we have the Cleveland Browns taking on the Detroit Lions. The Browns, they're coming off a win. They got their first win of the year. Andre Schmidt hits a field goal to take down the almighty Green Bay Packers, who played some elite football through 3 weeks, or through the first 2 weeks, I should say. It was funny because Packers left tackle Rasheed Walker was talking about, like, I don't see a loss on our schedule. I really don't see a loss on our schedule and all that. And then the very next week, they lost to one of the worst teams in the NFL. But it was a very grinded out defensive game, and Cleveland ended up coming away with the win. They blocked a big field goal on Brandon McManus in the end, and Andre Schmidt got set up for the game winner. So they are 1-2. And they're traveling to the Motor City as they take on the Detroit Lions, led by Jared Goff, who are coming off two straight statement wins, dropping 52 versus Chicago in week 2 and beating the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore, Maryland on Monday Night Football on primetime in a crazy atmosphere in Baltimore. Jared Goff and the Lions knocked off Lamar Jackson and the Ravens only a few days ago. I'm recording this on Wednesday night. It was 2 days ago now, but big statement win for the Lions. They look like they haven't gone anywhere. It was funny because after week 1, everybody was talking about, oh, the Lions lost their two coordinators and now they look washed. Dan Campbell took that personally. He's won 2 in a row. He's had 2 statement wins in a row, and I expect no different here. They're at home, returning home after the win versus the Ravens, and they're one of the Super Bowl contenders in the NFC. That's the bottom line. Everybody saw the blowout loss to Green Bay in week 1 and jumped ship so early, and I was one of them that didn't. It didn't look good. I stated that in my week 2 picks probably. It did not look good at all in that week 1 game, but Detroit is here to stay. Dan Campbell, one of the best head coaches in the National Football League. You can argue he is the best. He's that good. Um, he's a head coach like we've never even seen before. Goes for on fourth down a ton, as we saw on Monday Night Football. But I expect Detroit to win this game handily and beat the Cleveland Browns to go to 3-1 and get their third win in a row. Next up, we have a very, very tough game to pick, in my opinion. It is an AFC South matchup between the Tennessee Titans and the Houston Texans. The Titans, they're coming off a loss to the Indianapolis Colts. Jonathan Taylor ran all over them. They are now 0-3. And who are they tied with at the bottom of the AFC South? The Houston Texans. The Texans. CJ Stroud has not played good football at all. I talked about on the 365 recap on Tuesday. It has not looked good for CJ Stroud since his rookie year. It just hasn't been clicking. Nico Collins had a good game last week. The Texans pass rush is still there, and well, Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson are still really producing, but it just has not been sunshine and rainbows for the Houston Texans, as both these teams are 0-3, and this would be a big game for both these teams to see who can get back on track. Main storyline from Tennessee's side of things, Brian Callahan, their head coach, knows he's on the hot seat at this point. He is very much on the hot seat for the Tennessee Titans. He is giving up play calling to quarterbacks coach Bo. I don't even know how to say the last name. It's Bo something. He called plays for the Raiders a few years ago, and it was a stat I did hear that after he after he started calling plays for the Raiders when Josh McDaniels was fired, the Raiders' offensive production did go up. So that made me think maybe I like Tennessee in this game. All the stats point to Tennessee. I think you handed play calling over. Um, Cam Ward, can he win his first game in Houston? But something I saw today made me change my mind. I'm picking the Texans here. So CJ Stroud hasn't played well, as I said. He hasn't played well at all. Hasn't been great. Tennessee Titans cornerback, L'Jarius Sneed, said who? He was asking like who about Nico Collins. So I think Nico Collins is in for a big game. If you're gonna taunt Nico Collins, I mean, I think Nico Collins in for a big game now. The Texans running game still has to get going, but I think that's an interesting storyline going into the week. L'Jarius Sneed versus Nico Collins. That should be a good matchup. That should be an interesting matchup. So I'm excited for this week. This game should be a very tough game to pick. Should be pretty split across the country with picks, but I'm taking the Texans. to finally get a win, and CJ Stroud needs to play better, but I think they're gonna get this one done. Okay, sip of water real quick before we go to the next game. Next up, we have an interconference matchup between the Carolina Panthers and the New England Patriots. The Panthers, they're coming off their first win of the year where they shut out the Atlanta Falcons. Defense played very well. They shut out the Atlanta Falcons 30 zip. Falcons put a goose egg on the board. Bryce Young played well. He's played well historically against the Falcons in his career. And the Carolina Panthers go 1-2 and get their first win of the year. Huge win for Dave Canales and crew. Then you go to the Patriots side of things. They have the same exact record at 1-2, coming off a loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Turned the ball over like crazy. I think the Patriots had 4 turnovers, something like that. As I said before, the Steelers game, Drake May fumbled, Ramondre Stevenson fumbled twice. I just want to see Travion Henderson get more involved. Everybody in the fantasy football world, everybody in the NFL world knows what Travion Henderson can do. He played well at Ohio State. He deserves more opportunities for the Patriots. And I want to see less Gibson. I want to see less Stevenson. And I want to see more Henderson. Good news for the Patriots. Christian Gonzalez really has a chance to play this week. We'll see how much of a capacity that is he's playing. He's set to make a season debut this week. Mike Vrabel said could be key for the Patriots, and I'm picking them in this game. Game's at Gillette Stadium. It's a team, I think, two teams that are very unfamiliar with each other, and I think that New England is clearly the better team here. I think they'll play better. I think Drake May will play a good game. I think Gonzalez back. As I said last week, I was thinking of switching to the Steelers if Gonzalez didn't play. I never did. I stuck with New England, and they ended up losing, but Gonzalez is back, and that's insurmountable for the Patriots. He's one of the best corners in the National Football League. He just changes the defense, and him with Carlton Davis back there now, they'll wreak some havoc. And I think the Patriots get this win and go to 2-2 on the season and get the win. So yeah, give me the Patriots there. And then we have the Los Angeles Chargers versus the New York Giants in MetLife Stadium. The Chargers, they're 3-0. They've come off 3 straight wins versus 3 division opponents. In fact, Kansas City, Las Vegas, and then Denver, 3 straight wins in a row, 3-0 in the AFC West, and they are firing on all cylinders. Justin Herbert's playing well. He's probably top 3 in the MVP race at this point with how good football he's playing. I mean, Omarion Hampton decided to break out last week. He had a pretty good game, and they are playing so well. Defense is playing well with Jesse Minter and crew. And they take on the New York Giants, who have benched Russell Wilson. They are now going with Jackson Dart as the starter for the remainder of the season, per Brian Dayball. And I think the right move with how Russell Wilson played last week. They're starting 0-3, obviously. No one really expected the Giants to be anything special this season anyway, but I would like to see Shane Bowen and the defense run a little bit less cover one with the amount of good pass rushers they have. So it'll be interesting to see what the Giants can do in this game, but I have no doubts. I'm taking the Chargers here. They're the better team. They're gonna go to 4-0. I'm done doubting the Chargers. I know I've picked against the Chargers the last 3 weeks in the last 3 division games, but I'm picking them here. They're the better team than the Giants. The Giants just don't have it right now. It's Jackson Dart and his first NFL start versus a pretty good defense led by Jesse Minter. So I expect the Chargers to win this game pretty handily and get the win here and go to 4-0 and just keep jumping those power rankings and keep looking like a contender in the AFC because they look great right now, even with the loss of Rashawn Slater early in the year. So yeah, give me the Chargers to go to 4-0. Next up, we have arguably the best game of the entire day. It is the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Raymond James Stadium. Two 3-0 teams. The Eagles, they're coming off a win, a come from behind win versus the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday. Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, they came out of the locker room in the second half and absolutely unleashed. They were playing better offensively. Jalen Hurts was slinging that ball around. AJ Brown was probably at his best game the entire season. Devontae Smith was making some catches, and the Eagles got it done in the end to go to 3-0. The Bucks, similar thing. They're also 3-0. Baker Mayfield's playing well. The Jets had a big block field goal on Chase McLaughlin on Sunday, and then Baker Mayfield and Aaron Glenn and the Jets, the Bucks had too much time left on the clock. They went down the field. Baker Mayfield connected with Sterling Shepard, connected with other receivers, and eventually brought them all the way down the field. Chase McLaughlin trotted on the field and beat the Jets 29-27 on a game-winning field goal. One key storyline is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be without Mike Evans for this game and probably a few weeks after, maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks after this. So that will be a big loss. Chris Godwin is expected to play. He practiced in full today. It is Wednesday. He practiced in full, and he's expected to be off the injury report and ready to go for his season debut. First since he tore his ACL. I think it was tore his ACL last year against the Ravens on Monday night. So it'll be Abuka and Godwin. Still no Jalen McMillan, but I'm going to take the Eagles to go to 4-0. Um, the amount of offensive firepower the Eagles have, Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, the tush push is still legal. I stand by it. I agree with it, but no one can stop the tush push yet. I think Philadelphia, I think the defending champs keep rolling. They get this win. They play like the better football team here. I think without Mike Evans will be a big loss for Tampa Bay in this game. I think Abuka is ready to be number one receiver the way he's playing these first 3 weeks, but it's still a big loss having to lose Mike Evans in that offense. Bucky Irving does have to play some better football. He's playing decent, but he has to play a little bit better. I just like the Eagles in this game. I like the Eagles to go on the road and go to 4-0. Tampa Bay's going to come back down to earth eventually. This could be a big game come the end of the year in NFC playoff seeding, so it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes up. But I expect Philadelphia to get this one done, and the defending champ starts the season after 4-0 as Nick Sirianni and the boys continue the undefeated streak. And then we go to the 4 o'clock window, the 4 game late window on Sunday. It is the Indianapolis Colts who are undefeated with Danny Jones, Indiana Jones, versus the Los Angeles Rams. The Colts, as I said, they're 3-0. Jonathan Taylor had a stellar game last week. Daniel Jones is still playing amazing. Indiana Jones looking like a great comeback story, similar to Geno Smith, similar to Sam Darnold last year. He's looking good. And can I doubt the Colts anymore? We'll see. But they're looking great. Lou Anarumo and the defense are playing very well, though it hasn't been great competition. I'll be the first one to say it hasn't been great competition. They did beat Denver. They did beat Denver, but it hasn't been great. They beat Miami week 1 and they beat Tennessee last week. The Rams, as we just talked about, they're coming off a loss to the Philadelphia Eagles last week. Though Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua did play well, Devontae Adams made some catches. Puka Nacua is looking like probably the best receiver in the NFL through 3 weeks so far. Kyron Williams playing well. The Rams just have firepower on offense. I'm a big fan of the young defense they have. Kobe Turner, some of the pieces they have on the D line with Jared Verse. I think Jared Verse is a future defensive player of the year in the NFL. And they're still going to be a great football team. They lost to the Eagles. They played a very good game versus them. It just took a Joshua Cardi blocked field goal by Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis runs it all the way back for an Eagles game-winning touchdown. That's all it took. That's all it took for the Rams to lose this game. But I am picking them to bounce back. I mean, I'm picking against the Colts. This is the 4th straight week I'm picking against the Colts. It really might be. This might be the 4th straight week I pick against the Colts, but will it come back to bite me? We'll see. I think Daniel Jones has to come back down to earth eventually. I think he'll have a dud eventually. I think the Rams will do a better job of stopping Jonathan Taylor, way better job of stopping Jonathan Taylor than the Tennessee Titans did. And at home in SoFi Stadium, I expect Sean McVay and the Rams, Matthew Stafford, the veteran, to get a rebound win coming off of last week's loss. And I think it'll be a very good game, but I think the Rams will eventually come away with the win and go to 3-1, beating the Indianapolis Colts. So yeah, give me the Rams. Next up, we have another pretty good game. Should be interesting. It is an interconference matchup between the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the San Francisco 49ers. The Jaguars, they're coming off a grinded out, gritty, low scoring 17-10 win versus the Houston Texans this past week. Trevor Lawrence and the offense didn't play well. Brian Thomas Jr. has still not got his groove this season as he's been looking like a dud of a fantasy pick, but we'll see what he ends up doing the rest of the year. But Jacksonville's 2-1, and they're coming off a big win versus the Houston Texans. A big win and a big step to maybe winning the AFC South. So the 49ers, they're 3-0. No one's really talking about it right now because it's a very, very ugly 3-0. It has not been pretty in Santa Clara, but 3-0 is 3-0. That's the bottom line. Mac Jones has won 2 games in a row now versus the Saints and the Cardinals. Only 16 points last week. Defense is really the driving force of the win, but they did it. Nick Bosa is now done for the year with a torn ACL, I believe it is. I think it's a torn ACL. He's done for the year. It's his second torn ACL on the same exact knee in his career. He had one previously in 2020 versus the Jets in week 2, but he's done for the year. Still no George Kittle. Brock Purdy, his status is in question. We'll see if he's able to go. If Brock Purdy does end up playing, maybe I'll go 49ers. But I think with the injuries the 49ers are suffering right now, they just have so many injuries right now. As always, the 49ers seem like the most unlucky team over the. Why am I going 49ers colors? Because I'm talking about the 49ers, but the 49ers seem like one of the most unlucky teams over the years with injury standpoint of things. No Kittle, no Nick Bosa, possibly no Brock Purdy. If Mac Jones plays in this game, I'm set in stone the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think they're going to win this game. But if Purdy plays, maybe I'll change my mind. They're going to need a big CMC game to win a game like this. San Francisco has still not looked perfect despite the 3-0 start. So they're going to need a big game from Christian McCaffrey. So I expect the Jaguars to win this game and go to 3-1 on the season and give the 49ers their first loss of the year. So give me the Jaguars. And then we have a very big game in the AFC despite both teams being under 500 through 3 weeks. A rematch of opening night last year by the Isaiah Likely toe game, and he actually might be back for this game. Isaiah Likely might make his first appearance in live action this season versus the Chiefs here, but it's two Titans in the AFC. It is the Baltimore Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Ravens, they're coming off a short week now. It's a 6-day week versus the Lions on Monday Night Football, where their defense could not stop a nosebleed. Marlon Humphrey got burned a few times. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a big game. Both running backs for the Lions had a big game, and David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Lamar Jackson played well. Like, I'm not blaming him. Trust me, Ravens fans. We know. As Bengals fans last year, Joe Burrow went through the same exact thing. It is not Lamar Jackson's fault. The defense has sold them 2 games. Derrick Henry has a fumble in each of the first 3 games. It has not been good in Baltimore, and this is a huge game for them. If they want any hope of the number 1 seed in the AFC, Buffalo is running away with it. They play in the AFC East, and they're about to go to 4-0. So this is a huge game for both these teams. You look at the Chiefs side of things, they're 1-2. They got their first win of the season last week against the New York Giants on Sunday Night Football. Mahomes played all right, I guess. Tyquan Thornton made a couple big catches. Still no Rashee Rice. Xavier Worthy is expected to be back. I expect no limitations for him as he only missed a few weeks. So that's big for the Chiefs to come back. The Chiefs need to generate more of the run game, though. I will say that. And this might be a little bit of a shocker. The 1-2 Chiefs, I trust them more. I trust them more. And I think, and this is not me saying I think the Baltimore Ravens will have a bad year. It's not me saying I think the Baltimore Ravens are done. This is not me saying anything. The Baltimore Ravens have Houston next week and the Rams. After that, they have an absolute cakewalk. They still have the Steelers twice. They still have the Bengals twice. They have Cleveland again, obviously, in the division. I expect the Baltimore Ravens to be fine. They're going to go to 1-3, I think, but I expect them to be totally fine. I think they're still going to be a playoff team. I don't think they're going to be the number 1 seed because of the Buffalo Bills schedule and all that, but I expect Kansas City to win this game in Arrowhead Stadium and go to 2-2. And Mahomes, the atmosphere will be crazy there. 4:25 on CBS. Nance and Romo on the call, so this should be a very interesting game. So give me Kansas City to knock off Baltimore in Arrowhead Stadium in a big game in the AFC. Next up, we have the Chicago Bears versus the Las Vegas Raiders. The Bears, they're coming off a big win versus the Dallas Cowboys last week, where Ben Johnson was in his duffel bag, basically, so to speak. They cooked up a big flea flicker. Caleb Williams had a good game. He's like QB number 3 in fantasy football right now. He's having a great, great start to the season. Rome Odunze is looking like he's having a breakout season. DJ Moore is still there. I mean, DeAndre Swift's playing better than I expected, to be quite frank with you. And the Bears offense is playing well. It's playing well despite Jalen Johnson not being there. The Bears got a win. CeeDee Lamb went out in the first quarter. George Pickens made a few catches, but it wasn't enough for Dallas to squeak past them. The Raiders, they're coming off 2 straight losses after the week 1 win versus the Patriots back on September 7th. But Geno Smith has not looked great since that game. He threw a lot of yards last week. The Chargers game week 2, he did not look good at all. He threw a ton of yards last week. Ashton Genty has still not got it going for the season. I mean, his yards per carry are not good. It's not looking good for Ashton Genty right now, but I expect him to be fine. Trey Tucker played a good game last week. Brock Bowers has still not gotten going. He's had a few midweeks in a row. And I expect Ben Johnson and the Bears to get 2 wins in a row. I think that this is a team they're clearly better than. I was never a big believer in the Raiders going into the year. I thought they could be sneaky. I thought they could be competitive in a few games, but I was never a believer in them as playoff hype. A lot of people had playoff hype for the Raiders this year. A lot of people like the Geno Smith edition, Brock Bowers still being there, Ashton Genty being there. A lot of people were big fans of the offense, but I think Chicago's clearly the better team here. I think Caleb Williams is on a roll right now, and I expect the offense to keep it going and get the win over the Raiders here in Vegas. So yeah, give me the Bears. And then we go to Sunday night football between Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys. In all seriousness, though, the Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys. The Packers, they're coming off a loss, an upset loss versus the Cleveland Browns on Sunday. Blocked field goal, obviously, as I said before, and Jordan Love was mid. The Packers offense could not get it going all day, and they suffered a loss to Cleveland. The Cowboys, they did the same thing. They lost a game as well. The Cowboys defense has been Swiss cheese, allowing points all over the board. Matt Eberflus is not doing a good job so far through 3 weeks, and it just doesn't look like it's going to get better. Dak Prescott's playing some decent football. They have no CeeDee Lamb for about a month. And George Pickens is going to need to carry the load in the offense, basically. So I expect Green Bay to win this game. I expect Micah Parsons to make a lot of plays in his return to Dallas. Should be a very, very interesting one. Should be interesting to see how the Dallas fans, whatever they chant, or whatever they chant to Jerry Jones, whatever they chant to Micah Parsons, should be very, very interesting to see if Micah Parsons how many times or how, if even at all, if he can get to Dak Prescott. So should be a very intriguing storyline. Um, but I expect Green Bay to win this game handily. I expect our defense to rebound. I expect Jordan Love to play better against probably the worst defense in the NFL through 3 weeks. So yeah, give me the Green Bay Packers to get this one done and go to 3-1. And then we have a Monday night football doubleheader. We'll talk about the Bengals in a second for crying out loud. Game one at 7:15 Eastern time. It is the New York Jets at the Miami Dolphins. The Jets, they started their season 0-3, but I'm liking what I'm seeing from their offense. Tyrod Taylor started last week. Justin Fields still in concussion protocol as we speak right now. He might be ready to go this week, given it being an 8-day week, coming off the long schedule. So they haven't even practiced yet this week, but they start practice tomorrow, or as I'm recording, it's Wednesday night. But both of these teams are 0-3. Miami played very well versus the Bills last week. It just was not enough in the end with a Tua Tagovailoa interception to lose the game. This is a very tough game to pick, I think. Both teams 0-3. Aaron Glenn, I'm liking what I'm seeing. It feels like I said it on the 365 recap on Tuesday. It feels like culture's changing with the Jets. Darren Moogie and Aaron Glenn. I like that. I've liked the resume through 3 weeks. I know Aaron Glenn shows a lot of energy. You could see him dance on the sideline with the blocked field goal on Sunday and all that. I'm gonna take the Jets here. I think we're one step closer to Mike McDaniel getting fired. If Justin Fields plays or not, either way, I'm taking Tyrod Taylor, Justin Fields, in the Jets. I expect Garrett Wilson to make plays. I expect Brees Hall to make plays. Yeah, I'm actually gonna take the Jets here. I think Aaron Glenn is gonna get his first win in South Beach. Miami's wearing their rivalry uniforms too, but I do not think it will be enough for the Dolphins to get past them. And I just think the Dolphins are showing no confidence right now. It's only a matter of time before Mike McDaniel is fired, and who knows? Maybe Dolphins fans want a new quarterback soon after all the money they paid Tua, but it'll be interesting to see. And I think the Jets get this one done in Miami. And finally, the second game of the Monday Night Football doubleheader between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Denver Broncos. The Bengals, did they play last week? I don't think they played last week. Nah. They didn't even play last week. They didn't even play last week. We'll talk about the Broncos first, actually, in all seriousness. The Broncos, they're coming off a loss 20-13, or it was a maybe Cameron Dicker game winner. It was a very grinded out game. Chargers snuck past them. Chargers got to 3-0. Denver loses a big game. It dropped to 1-2. Bo Nix has really not come into form in these past 3 games, has not played great football. Though the defense is playing good, Pat Surtain has not been as elite as he was last year. But I expect the Denver defense to still be very good. It's been a few yips in a few games, but nonetheless, Denver is 1-2, and this is a big game for them. The Bengals, in all seriousness, 40-10 loss versus the Minnesota Vikings in Minneapolis last week. -5 in the turnover differential. Jake Browning threw a few picks. Jamar Chase had a fumble. Samaje Perine had a fumble, and it was not good in Cincinnati last week. I took them off the big screen at the end of the first half. It was that bad. So I was sick of watching them. I put them on the little TV, but I took them off the big screen because I was so mad at them. I turned on Scott Hansen on the big screen, but the Bengals lost. That's the bottom line. And what the Bengals have to do in this game is show everybody that everybody thinks that's a new normal now with Jake Browning under center. Everybody thinks a new normal is that the Bengals can't get it done with Jake Browning. And I stand by. The Bengals will be very competitive this season. I think Jake Browning will play better. It feels very similar to last time Jake Browning started. They played, I think it was the first, Jake Browning's first start was week 12 versus the Steelers. He played a very bad game. The Steelers won a very grinded out game, and they beat the Bengals. The very next week, Jake Browning went on the road on Monday Night Football, and he upset the number one seed in the AFC, the Jacksonville Jaguars. At that point, that was people forget about that. In 2023, at that point, Jake Browning killed the Jacksonville Jaguars season. They were number one in the AFC at that point. The Bengals have to go out there and show that they're still going to be very competitive this season. They're still going to be a hot ticket to watch this season, and they are not going anywhere. This is a huge game for both these teams. The Bengals lose this game, they got Detroit and Green Bay after this. They're not winning either of those games. I'm I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The Bengals aren't winning either of those games. They have to go to 3-1 here, so you can lose the next two games, go to 3-3, and then you can return home versus Pittsburgh on Thursday Night Football in the whiteout game, and then you have an easier few games after that with the Steelers, the Jets, and the Bears. Pains me to say, but I trust Sean Payton more in games like this. I do. I do. At home, Denver's wearing their all navy with the white helmets, I believe. I do trust Denver more in games like this. They're 1-2. They cannot drop to 1-3. If you drop to 1-3, if you're the Broncos, your hopes of the AFC West are over, and you're on the outside looking in the playoff race. That's the bottom line. I expect Denver to win this game, and we are officially marking this as the first time I'm picking against the Bengals this season. So yeah, it pains me to say it, but I'm gonna be rooting like hell for the Bengals. But I don't expect them to win this game. I expect the Broncos defense to play well. The Bengals run game is to get going. Chase Brown is having like literally historically bad yards per carry average. It's just it's not going well in Cincinnati right now. It's not going well. It's not going well. But these are the picks this week to recap: Arizona, Minnesota, Atlanta, Buffalo, Detroit, Houston, New England, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Los Angeles Rams, Jacksonville, Kansas City, Chicago, Green Bay, the New York Jets, and Denver. My lock of the week being Buffalo over New Orleans, and my upset being New York Jets over Miami. I guess you could say Kansas City was an upset too, but that was probably my biggest upset, being New York Jets going into Miami and beating the Dolphins. But yeah, our record needs to get better. This is the biggest thing right here. Our record needs to get really better. We need to have a big week in these game picks. So yeah, that's how it's going to look this week. Get the screenshot when this week sucks yet again, but hopefully we do better. I'm feeling good again, but I felt good the last 2 weeks when we really sucked. So yeah, those are the game picks. And now let's go over the power rankings real quick before we get up out of here. So yeah, here are this week's power rankings. And here are my week 4 power rankings, topping off with the same exact two as last week. Eagles, Bills, two undefeated teams. Round out the top two, as those are clearly the two best teams in the National Football League right now after 2 weeks. I think Detroit jumps up 6 spots all the way up to the top three again after two very, very statement wins versus two teams that they just put up a ton of points on. Detroit is all the way back up there. Chargers at number 4, they go up 1 spot. They're in the top 5 still. Rams, they go up 2 spots despite the loss to Philadelphia. They showed me a lot of promise in that game. I think they played well. Tampa Bay stays the same. Indianapolis still in the top 10. They go up 1 spot. Green Bay falls 5. Baltimore falls 5. Both those teams fall 5 spots after their losses this past weekend. Minnesota with Carson Wentz, they go up 8 spots to the number 10 spot. Blowout win over the Cincinnati Bengals, and defense played well. So they're showing a lot of promise. They are back in that status. Washington goes down 1. San Francisco stays the same. Kansas City goes down 2. Wasn't a great statement win versus the Giants, but they're still there. They're still gonna be a good team, I think. Seattle and Pittsburgh both get wins and they both go up 5 spots. I mean, I didn't really want to put, especially Pittsburgh. I didn't really want to put Pittsburgh up 5 spots with the win they have over New England. It wasn't really a statement win, so to speak, but that's kind of how the board fell out. Denver Arizona, Jacksonville, Chicago, Cincinnati falls down 5 spots with a blowout loss to Minnesota and Carson Wentz. They're at number 20 now. Still in that top 20, but man, hopefully they can show me something versus the Denver Broncos this week. Dallas, New England, Carolina goes up 6 spots, shutout win. Bryce Young played well versus Atlanta. They're 1 spot above Atlanta now, who falls down 8 spots, going down to 1 and 2. Vegas, Cleveland goes up 5 spots with a win over one of the best teams in the power ranking last week in Green Bay. Houston now at 0 and 3, they're down 6 spots now in the bottom. What is it? Bottom six. The bottom six of the power rankings. I did not expect the Texans season to fall like this early. Miami, same spot. Jets, Giants, Titans, and the Saints, where they've been all year at number 32 from the start, and I expect them to stay at number 32 pretty much the entire year. Maybe not the entire year because they'll eventually get a win and maybe things shake out that they go up a little bit, but I expect them to be down there for a long time. So, yeah, and those are the weekly power rankings as you can read them through here. Yeah, we are already in week 4, people. We are rolling through football at this point. We're through 3 weeks of football. We have a big football weekend ahead. As I said on the 365 recap on Tuesday, we have a big weekend of college football ahead. We have a good Thursday night football game, Monday night football doubleheader, huge NFL Sunday slate. I mean, we're gonna be watching football. Thursday night we have Thursday night football, a good Thursday night football game. Friday night we have 2 very good college football games. Saturday we have an entire day of college football. Sunday, we have football starting at 9:30 in the morning in Ireland through Sunday night football at night. And then on Monday night, we have even more football. What a weekend. What a weekend it's going to be. But yeah, I'm excited. Already in week 4, we are rolling through the season at this point. And yeah, that's going to do it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, please like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications for more videos exactly like this. But without further ado, I'll see y'all tomorrow with TGIF. We will have a video on the Cincinnati Bengals, the outlook of their season, and what I think is going to happen. But yeah, hope y'all have a great day. Go Bengals, who day? But I don't have confidence this week, who day? But I'll see y'all next time. See y'all on TGIF tomorrow. Have a great night.